Alright, welcome to the start of a new anime review series. That is when I finish getting all the episodes, when I finish watching the episodes released, it's joining the anime review schedule for about a couple weeks. Because, of course, they're in the release and the dub right now for this thing. This is The Brilliant Healer's New Life in the Shadows. Yep. That is the name of the series. Now, like in case of a few different series, basically, I've seen where stuff like this, for some weird reason, the first episode is not the start of the story. No, it's a flash forward. They did this with The Ace Academy, Sagatana Evil, trying to think, what other series did this? I think My Isekai Life did the same thing too. But not many. Where basically the whole point of this first episode is just to introduce our cast. We have a story involving a character who appears in this episode. And so, our characters. Our main character, his name is Zeno. Yes, that's seriously the guy's name. Now, he of course is our star for the series. He of course is the healer, Zenos, excuse me, yeah, Zenos. Anyway, Zenos. Yes, that name is very familiar due to the fact that was also a character from Seven Deadly Sins. Yep, he's voiced by Ellie Farmer. By the way, about two of the voice casts in the first episode I have heard before. The other ones, I think, one of the basics voiced somebody. So, Zenos is a healer who we'll talk about basically what happened in episode 2 because that is the main story there. We're used to him. We're used to his assistant Lily, who was an elf girl, who is voiced by Nia Castell. We have a wraith named Carmela, voiced by Molly Zek. I believe this is the one who voices Nabako from Jujutsu Kaisen. We have these, and we're also introduced to these three like big bosses of the slums, which of course they're all three very beautiful women. One is described as a lizard man. Well, lizard person. So this is Zovia, and she's voiced by Mallory Roddick. Yep, which I had to look it up because I've seen many series she's been in. I looked this up. This is quite interesting. I have currently seen her in 20 different anime. So aside from this one, these series I've seen her in: Fire Force, Fairy Tail, along with One Hero's Quest. I believe she's the voice of Yoko, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, she was one from Sabretooth. One Piece, Tokyo Route A, High School TXT as Ross Weiss. My Hero Academia, she's My Hero Academia. Solution from Overlord, she's an ace attorney as a couple different characters. Cardcaptor Sakura, Clear Card. Fire Force, Seraph of the End, Goblin Slayer. If you're curious what character she voices in that one, I think it's like High Elf Archer, that's her name. Which things covered. She also has Freya, Dr. Stone, Isekai Quartet. Combatants will be dispatched. If you're really curious, like, what was the character she voiced in that one? Of course, yes, she's the voice of Farine from the show, Farine. She is the voice of Freezing Astaroth. Yep, that's who she voices in that one. She has also been in Spy X Family, That's Her Kind of Slime, another show. Yep. In the case of Spy X Family, she voiced a character named Oka Gretcher. Oh yeah, she's also East Sky Quartet at Solution. Yep. In Afria, she's voiced a woman named Yuka Sabu. She's the woman in black from Dr. Stone. Yes, that's her. Turquoise from Dr. Stone. She's the voice of a nun from Cautious Hero. Let's see. In Karka the Sucker, she's voicing a character named Zena La. I think she's like an associate of one of the characters in the show. Let's see. So, as for the other ones, Langa is voiced by Mary Morgan, and she is a Beast Girl. First one I've seen in a while. Don't see this one very often, but first I've seen in a while. There is also Lowy. She is a ogre woman, voiced by Cassie Elwell. And that's all who debuted in the first episode. Well, there is one more. Yes, there is actually one more. So, aside from introducing our main cast here, well, we have Xenos goes out to a house call, and he comes across basically a situation where we have this bunny girl named Tilt, voiced by an actress who I've met in person twice. I last saw her at Shogi Expo 3 years ago. If you're curious, this is Kira Edwards, the voice of Whis from RWBY. Yes, a RWBY voice actor to show. Well, they gotta get someplace else. I mean, this is probably for the first of the 4 main girls off of RWBY. This actually is the first one I've seen not in RWBY. So, her character was a slave, and she wanted to run away because she's got a tummy ache. And then she's dragged to a graveyard by apparently appears to be her owner, and she gets possessed, and she attacks him, and of course Neo just happens to come by, exercises her, heals him in exchange for basically her slave contract, which he willingly gives up, and then tells Tilt, who doesn't know her name yet, to ask her to strip. What she does, all she does is basically take off her shirt and just heal a problem with her gallbladder, and then, as payment for this, to find some leaves, which he does, and then he tears the slave contract, and she goes on her merry way. And that's the first episode. Of course, by the way, the subplot of this one is that the 3 slumlords decide to eat his dinner, though they said to buy more ingredients so they can make dinner properly. Yeah. So, and then we start off our proper first episode, which is technically the second episode of the series. What we start out with Xenos is he's like kicked out of his party for apparently being incompetent. Well, not according to the leader standards. Yes. Leader's name is Aston. Now, this has been a recurring thing in several different anime. You know, a character gets banished from his own party. This is not the only one. There's obviously banished from the hero party. I still live quite a lot in the countryside. There is, of course, the healer. The worst healer is, like, in fact, the strongest I think it was. I love airing party during former students to explore dungeon depths. And a lot of the time, the parties they leave. Yeah, there's also Beast Tamer. Even a worthless costume, actually the strongest. Yeah. And as a blackmail to not tell anybody he was part of this party, because it got so popular, thanks to him, They pay him by giving him 1 gold coin. And then he leaves, like, wondering what he's going to do. And he comes across Lily, though he doesn't know who her name is yet, and proceeds to save her. In exchange, hey, give me your slave. I'll take this gold and I'll take her slave contract. I'll buy her. Sure, no problem. You can take her. And apparently these two people, like the guy, seemed like he was trying to rape her. Yes, it's a good thing he stopped that. He also ended up stabbing her too. Though he heals her wound, gives her proper clothing, basically clothing we see in the pilot episode. And then, of course, basically we have a lizard man come by who doesn't look like a lizard man. This lizard man basically looks like a normal human with green skin in some places. I'm like, that's a lizard man? I look at this person, they describe this person as a lizard man. And I'm like, that is not a lizard man. The Wolfkin girl, I can buy her being that, but this is not a lizard man. I've seen lizard men. This is not a lizard man. They claim it is one, but it's not. I'm like, seriously? A lizardkin. And this guy just happened to be after healing his wound, he does get paid for it. Oh, I can actually get paid for this? Cool. So then he proceeds to find an underground clinic and go underground to get a license. So he then basically comes across what appears to be a mansion intact, and proceeds to fight. Well, Wraith of the series, Carmella's first time met her chronologically, where he basically just used healing magic on her because apparently wraiths are weak to healing magic. Yes, those that be curious. Well, not the first ghost I've encountered per se in the anime. This has happened to different ones, but wraith? Well, this has happened a few different anime, but not many. Same thing with a ghost haunting a place the main character lives in. This also happened with Drugs of the World. I've been killing so many years, maxed out. But it doesn't happen this is one thing I don't come across very often. At Finier, they said, oh, you can keep the ground floor, second floor is mine. Like, okay. So they clean the place up, they set the clinic, and then, of course, we get visited by the lizard man, the lizard kin. I'm calling him lizard king because he's not lizard man, he's lizard kin. Where he gets visited, and then his sister shows up. Very beautiful woman, despite looking like a lizard, but she's gorgeous. Yes. Molly Rook does an excellent job voicing her. And basically, when to treat her arm is to chop it off and regrow a new one. Yep, so then he proceeds to slice up her arm very quickly and then grows a new one. It takes a bit of time, but he didn't want to rush it. And it's very exhausting. And then they leave. And then we're introduced to, like, right after they leave. And then that's when, of course, Legata shows up. Legata the Tyrant, who apparently does gambling. Yes. Sophia, the way they describe her is like she's like basically like a Robin Hood. Yes. So they try to pick the place up, and of course are spooked by Carmella, and they kind of form a friendship per se by the end of the episode, and that's it. Overall, basically, this is so far really interesting so far. Now, aside from the fact the whole banishing thing and the ghost thing, I've seen a few different anime, but not in the case of basically where you have a slum area where they have gangs run by beautiful women. That I thought was quite original. I actually really enjoy that aspect. Yeah. But so far, 2 episodes in, I'm enjoying it. Though I only have about 8 more episodes left to go before I have to stop. Because once we reach episode 10, I'm caught up. And there's one anime that I looked at like, ooh, this is interesting. So I'm going to start this one next. I have to read the manga for part read tonight anyways. Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much a particular review. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications. Next time, a Comic Corner is back this series. Okay, thanks, bye.